Exactly 2 years ago today, I was in New York at the final interview for my dream job, to be the new leader of the Committee to Protect Journalists. I believe that telling stories is the most powerful way we have for exposing injustice, for righting wrongs, and for recalling our shared humanity. And I was lucky to work as a reporter and editor for many years. So I could not think of a better way of repaying that opportunity than leading an organization whose entire mission is to protect journalists, no matter who or where they are, so they can continue to do this essential work. In our fractured world, journalism has never been more important, and it has never felt so under threat. The past 8 weeks in particular are some of the worst that our journalistic community has ever experienced. And that's why I am so grateful to be with you today, to grieve collectively and to consider how we, as a community, can heal. I want to start by acknowledging clearly the horror of what is happening in the region. Since the Committee to Protect Journalists was founded 42 years ago, never have so many journalists been killed in such a short period in a single conflict. These are our friends, our family, and I stand alongside you in mourning the loss of our colleagues, many of whom bear the impossible burden of documenting a war without any of the protections or guarantees of at least partial safety usually afforded to war correspondents. Not only that, but too many of our colleagues in Gaza and in the region have had to carry the weight of proving their humanity, of justifying themselves and their work to the outside world. They are doubted, despised, and dehumanized. And yet without these individuals, we would have no clear view into this war. We would be blind and the community silenced. I want you to know that you are seen and you are heard. The theme of this year's conference is cross-border collaboration in a fragmented world. The past 2 months have reinforced how fragmented that world is. The latest war in the Middle East came at a time when we were already facing conflicts and crises on multiple fronts. The ongoing wars in Yemen and Syria, in Sudan, Ukraine, the displacement of hundreds of journalists worldwide from Afghanistan, Myanmar, and Russia to Central and South America and across Africa, and a rapidly escalating climate crisis that has caused devastation, such as we saw in Libya just a few months ago. And all of that alongside a decline in democratic norms and values worldwide, and the continued suppression of rights for women and minority groups. Now, more than ever, we need the reporters who document abuses, who record the damage caused by war and by climate change, and who investigate corruption and the abuse of power. ARIJ, our host, is a shining example of that. Take its investigation into Yemen's war wounded, which resulted in a hospital director and a doctor being charged with causing the death of an amputation victim. Or the investigation by Mohamed Tahrut with ARIJ support that prompted Moroccan authorities to remove facilities and pumps that were destroying irrigation systems and threaten the environment in the Wadi Shabuka region. That's impact. That's why most of us became journalists. Such investigations are also examples of how journalists and media organizations can have impact despite the ever-growing challenges we face, by working in collaboration. The success of investigations by networks such as the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists and echoed in the work of groups like the Organized Crime and corruption reporting project and Forbidden Stories shows how we can help both protect and enhance journalists' work. Collaboration can also keep journalists safe and help ensure resources are used effectively. Gaza Media Resources, the collaborative effort of Midan, Witness, and SMEX, launched just this week to provide an open access library of resources on topics like digital security, open source fact-checking, is one such example. Another is the Legal Network for Journalists at Risk, a group of 17 member organizations, including CPJ, launched last year to help share and meet requests for legal support for journalists, one of the most rapidly growing areas of need for reporters everywhere. The Legal Network builds on the Journalists in Distress Network, which brings together a number of organizations across the globe who provide emergency assistance to journalists and whose information and resource sharing has helped, among other things, to deliver much-needed safety and trauma workshops and respite care this year to a group of Sudanese journalists, as well as to exiled journalists from Russia and elsewhere. We can and we should do more. These growing global crises will require us to be even more innovative, even more collaborative in our approach, to work with one another more closely and to raise each other up. Change begins at home. CPJ can do better, for example, by publishing more content in the language of the communities of those stories we represent. We can do better by ensuring we use our fundraising power to give directly when needed to community organizations who are best placed to provide direct emergency assistance, as we have done in this latest war. Emergency support and advocacy organizations like ours can do a better job partnering with media development groups to help people transition from short-term assistance to long-term support. And we can do a better job recognizing what we don't know or don't do, and should know and could do. None of us can do this work alone. If democracy dies in darkness, then humanity dies in isolation. Journalists are essential in reminding us of that collective humanity, and it is together that we will protect this essential craft. Thank you.
Thank you, Jodie.